Alright, let's go ahead and get started by first petting the dog. Well, first. Alright, okay. First petting the dog. Who's a good boy? Beautiful. Alright, let me go ahead and go private here. Let's do some gunhead. We haven't done gunhead recently. Character scales, go. RP is probably just better. Hey, Alex. Let's see. What do I want to play with gunhead? Saw? Maybe saw. Kind of feel maybe a pistol. Let's go Glocking. There's no way this feels good though with gunhead, but we'll see how it goes. $500 rounds of 9mm? Sure. And let's start with Stairway. Why not? Stairway and a Glock. Alright. You know, Gunhead saying he's a conduit and a human's the hand makes him feel like he's like remotely controlled and not real. Honestly, that's not bad. It's kind of weird how it like sways a lot, but it works. It actually maintains its accuracy a lot better than rifles do, which is kind of silly, but hey, it works. It doesn't have that like insane spread. I think SMGs are pretty bad now too, right? This might just be the de facto best SMG for 9mm actually now. Let me do one more spread real quick. Yeah, like there's scenarios where it like jumps left and right, but like for the most part, that's way better than like any SMG in the game. And 9mm that is. Hello. The problem with like SMGs being right is like they have a lot of spread right now after like a firing full auto. Because one of those you can silence and one you can't. Now I will say the cigar does feel good now. I honestly I do think its top tier magazine can probably be nerfed a bit, because there's no way that magazine for the Scar should actually hold 50 rounds of BMG. It's insane. That magazine is not that big. Kind of just sticking to the side and heading up, really. Devin. Staying out of the center. You don't really have much agency on this map, right? So it's just literally head up or down the staircase. I will say the upper area, if you start at the bottom extract and you start heading up, you don't really want to loiter in the upper area. The respawns are pretty aggressive in the upper area, and they generally tend to aggro each other. And if you have HKs up top, you're gonna have issues. So generally speaking, if you're gonna go from bottom to top, don't spend too much time at the top. And if you do need stuff at the top, I would probably say spawn at the top and head down. Because like, exiting via here is really easy. Exiting up top is actually hard because there's that one choke point. And there's always a European squad that spawns there. Oh no, it's definitely a good risk versus reward, right, Raymer? 100%. Like the cost of it not being able to be silenced, right? It feels like you're adequately, like you're rewarded for choosing that gun, right? It feels nice. Like, do I want to just murder everything? Sure, yeah. All right, well then use the scar. Downside is you'll have to murder everything. But no, like, yeah, with this map, you don't really have a lot of choices to just go up or down, so it is literally a stairway. And like this, there's not really any side areas you can go up, so it's just like go up the staircase. The biggest area, right, is just the top here. There's these fights down here, full special units, like you can get grabbers, Orgamex, and Toothy down here, but there's not really any loot there anyway, so it's just you walk by it. Hey, Delta. Oh no, like, well, I guess that's the plus side, right, is you can usually get scar parts off of European soldiers, so you can bypass leveling it miserably. Hey, Blood. You guys, no, you're right, yeah, like, the stock 8 rounds is really bad. I kind of think the biggest I think it should. It's got 3 magazines right now. I kind of get this feeling that it should be almost like 8, maybe 16, 24. Just multiples of 8 from ammunition. It does feel like the hey Stona. It does kind of feel like, what's it called? It's got too much ammo in its bigger magazine. Visually, that being, right? Man, I mean, I would actually go pretty crazy, Delta, on a layout. So here's the thing. This map makes me feel like they had an aesthetic in mind. And, like, now they're very different games, right? But when, like, I would design a map, like in Counter-Strike, I would have a theme in mind, that like a kind of like a overall theme of what I want that map to be. So like artistically, I'm still like on the same, like on that point, right? Where, oh god, hold on. All right, we're good. We need to leave. So, like, for example, like if I want to make a train yard in regards to CS:GO, right, or Counter-Strike, I would like try and do like that. That would be my theme for the map, right? But like once I had that theme, I would immediately go to layout. I wouldn't like just design the aesthetics of the map. I would just go straight to layout. It kind of felt like they maybe put themselves into to a corner with the layout, or sorry, with the like art. Hey, Jacob. Like, I would approach this map very differently, I think, than they would. That's perfectly fair, right? Different strokes for different people. But, like, I would almost redesign this map from the ground up. Keeping it... Jacob, no, just give it, like, 10, 15, 20 minutes. I haven't really talked much today, and it will get a bit lower or a bit higher, I guess, as I talk. Just give it like 20 minutes. But no. I mean, that's nothing but stairs. Just do MC Escher stairs. just do the MC Escher. I mean, actually, honestly, genuinely, to be fair, when we have AIs making stairways, I could absolutely see like an MC Escher. That would be genuinely so fucking funny. Oh man, now I want to see that so bad. My god. Oh, it sounds so awesome. It would be such a fucking funny map. Just like cursing the AIs the entire time. It'd be a great map too for pneumatic jump, so I'm on board. The MC Escher Stairway to Heaven. Or I guess it's the Stairway to Nowhere. That's such a good idea. Oh man. You didn't think of that. It's fucking amazing. No, but like going back, like skyscrapers or other things, like scaffolding, skyscraper shanties along the side, just literally like, or room, like you could do bombers too, like you could do so many different things to open up pathing on the map. Like imagine one of those like giant bombers crash into the side of the stairway and like kind of bridging this chasm over to like a few different skyscrapers, right? So like, you know, if there are issues, right, for example, they didn't really want to like force extra layouts, you can kind of have it forced through things that wouldn't normally be there, right? Like a crashed bomber and like bridging to two skyscrapers. Or bridging you off to a different area of the map before bringing you back, so like through scaffolding perhaps. But like sewers, scaffolding, pipes. It honestly feels kind of weird considering that we're scavs, that like there's not a lot of ratty areas, right? Yeah, there's also like, yeah, there's the chains we see on Ashen Mesa too. Those could be heavily utilized also, like the chains, yeah, for sure. There's definitely like there's so many different approaches to expanding the map for sure.
Maintain spacing. The sector ahead contains explosives.
Does it contain explosives? I mean, I guess every map does, considering minefields. I imagine just like endless storage racks for cyborgs, right? I imagine like the entirety of them are probably just fuel. Or actually, there's solar power apparently, right? So. Oh no, it's a much more general video than that, Quad Eye. I finished recording this weekend, and I started editing last night, so like, it's probably a week or two away, considering its length. But it's not a deep dive. Yeah, so like, that and power, right, Blood? But the bombers are apparently solar powered, and yeah, it's mostly probably just cyborgs, right? The floppy turrets. Man, it'd be really interesting if they would actually spawn quest units sometimes without the quest. So Goldbrick can spawn over here on the left-hand side. And like, he's a menace when you don't realize he's there. Oh no, like... If I'm gonna be like highly critical of that, like, so naturally all the maps aesthetically are amazing, but from gameplay perspectives and layout perspectives, right, I would critique a lot. When the goal is replayability, I think the maps are lacking. If they're just supposed to be like a curtailed bespoke experience, that's fine, but considering like it's an extraction shooter, that doesn't seem to line up very well, but that's what it is. Hey, hey. Hey, no. Well, I think EM's always been like the worst performing map. I think that's just more because it was one of their earliest maps. And so it just had probably a lot of things they learned from it on in regards to like managing aesthetics to performance. Like they go pretty hard on the, for example, like on the whole, like this over here, and this is pretty performance heavy if I recall correctly. It's not crazy, but like at the same time, it is just a lot. Yeah, so there's a lot of visual clutter on this map. It's like, it makes it really cool, but like, you know, if it's that or more map. All right, let's get inside. I think it's more solar powered because there's like, I think they're getting reinforced from across the ocean, and there's like, if they want the bombers to be able to drop their payloads and head back, that's like, and not have to refuel, it probably forces them to something like that, right? Something replenishable or something that powers it like when it's in the sky. So it's not really about eco-friendliness, it's about being able to like drop cyborgs from across the Pacific and then head back. Hey, Duffs. I don't know. I would always probably prefer playing the infantry for Europa the most, just because like having firing lines is cool as shit. No, I don't hear a dog yet. I do think genuinely, right, I would love to see them explore the RTS space in this game or genre. But like, I also accept that like, RTS is just our thing of the past too, right? They would need a lot of extra love, I think, and like, not creativity, but like, well, creativity in a way, right? But like, the RTS is due for a redesign, at least conceptually, right? Maybe like, you know, people like seeing a bunch of units clashing and fighting and all the visual aesthetic parts of that. So I guess the real bridge is like, how do you bring that to another game? Because as long as you have like kind of that core RTS feel of that, I think the RTS players will like it. Oh, for sure, Devin. It's always just it's time, right? Yeah, but well, it's just because it's a niche genre, and like onboarding people to the RTS genre is very hard, and like it's just really hard, right? And it's one of those, I guess the core way I would approach it is I would, like at some point, right, like let me try to, the RTS genre requires like a lot of work to not be awful at it. Like, and here's the thing, like you can go play, for example, I'm gonna bring up League, I'm sorry. You can go like be a new player and play League and have kind of a fun time with your friends. It's not gonna be a good game in the sense it's gonna be a shit show, but like, because you're usually playing against people who are probably similarly experienced, also like utter shit, like it kind of makes it a fun game, right? How do you do that in an RTS? Or an RTS adjacent game, right? How do you like, do you even try to approach the RTS from that viewpoint, like in the sense of making it more mainstream, if you will? Yeah, right, but that's basically my point, right? Is like if you were trying to revitalize the RTS, it's kind of, you can go like the boomer shooter route where you just stick to your guns and play the old version of RTSs because you know people like that, and like you put an absolute upper cap on your game, right? But it's there, like you know you have an audience. Or do you try to innovate in the space and bring people in who might not be very familiar with the genre? And I would say, like, to do that and keep the old RTS heads happy, like, from my experience, right, the old RTS players, at least the more casual ones, just want cool looking battles and visual effects, right? And they just want to see armies clash. Am I wrong? I've always understood that to be like the core premise of like RTS heads' enjoyment of the game on a much more casual level, right? They want to see big armies clash. Well, Bob, on that point though, it's actually interesting because I don't think you could actually technically do that with the RTS genre, because if your idea is to make a popular game and then you choose RTS, you're already like shot yourself in the foot. And it's not really necessarily, it's not even about necessarily making the RTS genre more mainstream. It's more about making it more approachable, right? Because, say for example, right, if a new person got into StarCraft 2 and they want to go play the campaign and they're like, okay, the campaign was great, I enjoyed that, it was hard, I like it, you know, it just taking the time to learn an RTS is very intensive, and other games do not transfer over to it very well. Well, Raymer, I kind of feel like God of War 3 kind of forgot, or not Dawn of War, Dawn of War 3 kind of forgot like its RTS roots, right? It definitely went, like Dawn of War 2 even did that too, right? Dawn of War 2 just like, you had the massive scale or the larger scale of Dawn of War 1, and then like each iteration of Dawn of War just made it smaller and smaller, it felt like. I guess 3 did it better than 2, but 3 still had its own issues. But like Dawn of War 2 was like a very small scale Dawn of War game. I mean, I guess you kind of see that too in like Subcom, right? You kind of, the way I'm saying it right is that they approached, so like Supreme Commander 2, right, also did the same thing Dawn of War 2 and Dawn of War 3 did, where it kind of like tried to make the genre more approachable by scaling back the scale and size. And like, that's definitely how you alienate your audience in regards to RTS players, right? Because RTS players want those big battles and fights, right? And so I feel like the way I would approach it would try not to do that, in the sense of you still want to, like, it's very important that you keep the scale of those games. The reason why SEPCOM is so enjoyable, right? Because it was like SEPCOM's economy is really interesting, and like how that, like, they were one of the fewer people who like did that like kind of economy earlier on, of like, for those unaware, so like a traditional RTS, right, in the current day and age is you will go, say, collect 100 resources, right, and then you can spend those resources. Supreme Commander 1 did it in a different way, where it's much more of an in and out, right? So say, for example, you're harvesting like 100 minerals a second, right? And so you can produce things up until you reach that 100 minerals a second limit, right? And then it will slow down your production. You will have stockpiles too, and okay, so say for example we have 100 minerals a second, you know, upkeep, right? Or like we're making that much money, 100 minerals, and say we start producing 150 amount of units per second, it will drain that 100, so we won't be at plus 100, we'll be at minus 50, and as long as we have a stockpile, it will produce at 100% rate, and then it will eventually go down if we drain our stockpile. It was like one of the few first games to do something like that, and it was very cool. But like outside of that, Supreme Commander was a very kind of basic RTS game, but like it just did the scale and size and kind of got you the cinematics, right? It just felt everything was so big and cool. Like, if you took away the massive scale of Supreme Commander, it probably wouldn't be that good of an RTS, but because it did the scale so well, it just brought you in. And so like that's the core tenet of an RTS, where I feel like when trying to make it much more mainstream or like bring it into the light again, people forget about that. And there are RTSs too, right, that like kind of don't do that all that well, or didn't try to, kind of like Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer was a good RTS, right, but it didn't try to like do that massive scale. But I also, like, weirdly enough too, I never really liked Command and Conquer all that much. I liked them for their stories. When it came to actually like playing skirmishes or multiplayer though, I much preferred Supreme Commander, right, for that scale. So personally, I would probably explore that a lot more than this, or like explore that a lot more than like making the game small.
I am the conduit. The human is the hand.
And so from like a game design perspective, right, I would focus a lot more on making sure like I'm presenting sort of these large battles going on that have, you know, not high visual fidelity, but like have a lot going on and feel epic in scale. And then like I would see how you can tie in other elements to that, right? Or what I would want to be on top of that, right? And maybe how you make it more approachable. Oh no, Supreme, well, like, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, I replayed Supreme Commander, both 1 and Forged Alliance. Like, the campaign, you can like, if you're a great player, I'm sure you can speed to the campaign, but like each mission on the campaign in that game was like 3 to 4 hours of just like back and forth and surviving. I think I played on like the hardest difficulty too, or maybe like below that. So like the first like hour or 2 of the game was just surviving and getting the economy going. Because it is, the higher difficulties can be very rough with how aggressive the AI is early on. It's just a lot of like, oh shit. Oh, it is, it like, the coolest thing about, like, the cool thing too about like, what's it called? Supreme Commander 2 is most, if not all, of the units would stay alive on the map after they died, and you could reclaim them. Like, reclaiming is a very big part of actually, like, the economy in Supreme Commander, in the sense of Essentially, when a unit dies, you can reclaim some of its cost in salvage for, like, you know, resources, right? And it usually would give you a very big bump in resources really, really quickly. And so, like, reclaiming a giant unit that died was a very big way of, like, getting ahead in the economy wars. And so, like, when you're playing for, like, an hour or two, right? Like, the map just becomes littered, absolutely littered with just salvage if you're not constantly reclaiming it, especially in single player. So, like, not only did, like, the game give you the sense of scale, it also gave you kind of the sense of ruin, right? Of just seeing the fields littered with the dead, I mean, they were all robots, right? But, like, dead, you know, vehicles and, like, destroyed terrain and impact marks here and there. Yeah, Blood, I believe it, yeah, 100%. And it looks awesome, doesn't it? It kind of gives you the Elephant Mausoleum vibe for sure. But, like, that's, I would say that, like, those two things are probably, I would think, one of the bigger aspects of RTSs where people want, right? For example, Dune Spice Wars, that was a very big critique of the game from the RTS crowd who wanted to enjoy the game. There wasn't enough visual fidelity for them to enjoy the game. There wasn't enough, like, animation polish or units and just giant battles that they wanted, right? And so, like, at least from that, I definitely feel like I learned that the RTS crowd has a very decent expectation in regards to the visuals of a game and kind of the ambiance it gives off. There was also, what's that other game called? Fuck, can't remember. What's it called? Oh, Beyond All Reason. Was also trying to be a Subcom clone. Though I think they're mainly focused on just multiplayer. I've looked at it. I never got around to installing it yet or trying it, but... Nasco, I would say it's actually, it runs, because it's its own engine, like, I haven't had issues running it at all. I would say, like, look for it on Steam sale and pick it up, man. It's still a good game. You might need to install a mod or two for a few things. Like, there's a few weird bugs that you probably will need a mod for, but they're well-known issues and exist. I can't remember what it was, though, I had to do for, like, that one. I think it was, like, some mouse or UI bug that I had to fix via a mod, but, like, it, outside of that weird, like, one thing I had to mod out or fix, it ran perfectly, and it was awesome. Alright, Water Wars is done. What the hell? Oh, they heard my RPD, that makes sense. RPD's not silenced. I haven't played Dawn of War in a very long time. I'm not sure if it would hold up for me. I should definitely give it a try. But, like, I haven't played Dawn of War 1 in a long time, and, like, I remember the gameplay, right? I'm not sure, like, outside of just being a 40K fan, I'm not sure if I would still enjoy it. It was definitely great back in the day, but I'm not sure if its gameplay has aged all that well for me personally. Naturally, I can't really fully comment on that until I play it, but I'm just, like, recalling the gameplay. I'm like, would I really enjoy that all that much? Oh yeah, the Winter Assault campaign was actually interesting, right? Because it wasn't like a actual like, no, was it? One of the campaigns for Dawn of War 1 was like a much more just like regular campaign, right? It wasn't just a linear campaign, it was like actually more like a map, if I recall correctly. I can't remember if it was Winter Assault or a different one. That's good to hear. I'll have to consider it. I tried out Tempest Rising, the demo for it, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I still love the Command and Conquer sort of RTS anymore. And like the only really Command and Conquers I played really when I was younger was Generals and then Tiberium Wars. I really liked in Tiberium Wars, right? I genuinely enjoyed. I think Tiberium, the whole Tiberium timeline, like really just was interesting lore-wise for me, and that's why I got into it. But yeah, probably not. But I played Generals and yeah, I played Tiberium Wars, and I really enjoyed Tiberium Wars. It was a good game with a good story. But no, yeah, I would personally approach it from like, not necessarily okay, there we go. A Supreme Commander standpoint. But like, I would just try to keep that in mind. Like, we're looking for something with decent scale or large scale fights with good visual fidelity. Like, it's an important part of it. And I guess the key thing is, right, is like balancing that with keeping it approachable. I mean, yeah, if you're looking for a crackhead conspiracy theorist, you can't do better than Alex Jones. I think I have manufactured heist. Yeah, like I said, yeah. Bob, we're saying the same thing. Yeah, Nasco, there's like, was it in the Necron one? I knew there was like one of the campaigns in OG Dawn of War, right, that actually had like a, as opposed to a linear campaign, it was actually like much more of a conquest, where you would like take zones and fight back and forth. Might have been Winter Assault, it's just been so damn long. Dark Crusade, yeah, yeah, Dark Crusade, that was it, yeah. 100% it was Dark Crusade. Oh, I forgot about Soulstorm, yeah, shit. I just feel like Necron, like, honestly, if I was to play, here's the problem, right? Okay, if I had infinite time and money, the two armies I would probably play in tabletop would be Astra Militarum and then Necrons. I always love a straight man. And so like playing the straight man faction of like Astra Militarum is always so nice. And then I always enjoy just like very interesting factions. And well, here's the thing, I like orcs too, but man, orcs are really cool. Then you have Necrons, which are cool. Then you have like Tau, which are interesting. I wouldn't say Tau are cool, but they're definitely interesting. If you really just want the mech aesthetic, like the sci-fi aesthetic, yeah, orcs are just a good time, right? Exactly. I mean, the whole concept of like, oh, I painted myself purple, I am now stealthier. It's just, you know, amazing. I mean, I would have probably played Tao back in the day. Just like I said, I enjoy straight man factions, right? I like seeing the contrast between like the normal and the abnormal. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Tau. It's just more in the sense of they don't really do all that much for me. Well, it's time. Well, time and money. The time is a big part of it too. I definitely think Kill Team did like a very good job of fulfilling that void for people where they want to play 40k but don't have the time and money for like full 40k. I would say I don't have even enough money for, or time rather, for even like Kill Team. The logistics of, you know, painting, getting them, and then going and play with them too, and then just, yeah, everything. No, playing 40k when I was a teenager, right, was a fucking was an issue. Oh, it's definitely, yeah, way better in that regard. Yeah, but there's that like that upfront cost. Like 3D printing is better, right? But it has that like upfront initial cost. And I guess learning curve too, right? Oh, was that always what we had? Okay. No, let's kill Pyro. Let's just kill Pyro. Yeah, it's perfectly, like, I still enjoy 40k's lore for sure, yeah. Nothing wrong with that. And I enjoyed Space Marine too, also. I didn't really play much of its like co-op campaign, or sorry, I guess co-op repeatable mode, but I definitely enjoyed the story and the co-op story too. I played both, but I just didn't play the I didn't like the what's it called, the repeatable co-op mode. I didn't really play that much. What gun do I want to murder him with? We're gonna be an assassin. We don't need a lot of ammo here, right? Because like, if we don't get this, we're gonna die. So, quick in, quick out, quick out. We have some bullets just for Pyro. It's 20 mil. It's the 36M, but it's the 20 mil is the highest weapon caliber we have in the game. Oh no, Rainbow! I think I guess you're gonna see my goal.
I'm too old.
There he is. That piece of shit. I have something in mind. Yeah, like, so Bob, on that note, that's kind of, yeah, just, yeah. Hello there. Oh, wait, no. All right, we won, we're good, we won. I almost fucked that up. I probably should just like no scoped him, but you know I didn't want to miss. Oh no, Bob, that is unfortunately a very sad side effect of just, yeah, game stores and stuff like that. Just nightmare fuel. Michael, I wouldn't look into it that much. It's just, oh, it all checks out. Like, if you've ever been to a game store, like, yeah, no, it all checks out. If you've ever played 40k IRL or Magic IRL, it all checks out. Some people just don't have shame. Yeah, like that's mistake numero uno. Is like, yeah, you don't do that. You say, you have your hobbies, I have mine, and that's okay. We can do other things together, like not go to game stores. That, or like, the best thing you can do, generally speaking too, is just like, host your own like board game night or something like that, and then like, invite people you vet over. Bold statement there, Raymer. Once a month? You wouldn't fit into the 40k crowd. How dare you? I like this. Oh god. It looks so cool. What map are we doing? Oh yeah, we're doing Mac Trench, got it. This will actually be hard considering we're not using a silence gun. Wait, what? Oh, alright, well I guess that bugged out. Or I clicked something by accident. That would have been scary. Let's go, where were we? There we go. What do you mean? This is awesome. This looks amazing. This has way more better vibes than the other one. I mean, poor M16. I made it better. What do you mean horrifying? What's horrifying is all these bitch-ass basic guns in the game.
Not dead yet.
If you, Nasco, if you have multiple rig container slots, like if you have more of these large item slots, you can. You have to change through them with the UI. So like, hold on, let me just turn this on real quick. So you can see that we have an equipment slot called 5 in the bottom left. We can have both of them on with the right rig, but we have to cycle through them to use them, right? So you can't really use them at the same time. You kind of can, but not really. Right, that's what's so cool about it though, right? It's kind of like, yeah, it was put into a scrambling machine. Okay, that door being closed is now huge. The downside, though, is we probably are going to attract the attention of the EXO. So we can't stay up here too long. Oh no, version, like, this is like... I actually quite like the aesthetic of this gun, right? In a way, I would almost like want this more to be the baseline than the actual M16, right? Hey, soldier factory. We good? Apparently not. Hey, what else? Alright, off you go. I guess the door is closed. I don't see hear the exit coming in. We could probably actually loot for a bit. Oh no, no, it's not closed, it's not closed. Can you go up the staircase? I think you can go on the staircase, right? No? Alright, well. You know what, XO? You have a good time in the med bay. Bam. That's cool. Nice bug to know about. Very weird circumstances. I want to see more of these server rooms. They're kind of cool. All right. All right. Here's another exit behind here too. Below here too. You see nothing? Oh, you actually do see nothing. Okay, that works. Yeah, that one's been known for a while, Michael. I just don't bother with it, really. It definitely feels unintentional, right? So... No, yeah, takedowns, too, also spawn those weird T-posing units sometimes, depending on the map you're on. So, like, if you do a takedown on Asha Mesa, those units in the middle of the map will spawn just kind of doing an A-pose in the middle, like, in the sky. Alright, I didn't loot that much. Let me go back and loot a bit. Hey, Schizo. There's a few instances too, right, with mantling where you can get like launched to the moon. It's not easy to reproduce, but like I definitely had it like 2 or 3 times, right, where like when you mantle sometimes it will send you just to orbit, and actually you die, but it's very funny. The one area where I think I've gotten like more than once is like the vines area on Frozen Swamp, the Titan there. Like if you mantle enough times there, it seems to happen. Oh, we can probably just leave this way, actually. We got a bullets? Why are you not shooting? Sir? There you go. I want to end the game so bad. It looks so cool. Though I'm really curious what this whole like hose gun is. Soon, TM. Any organ banks around here? No? No.
Damn close call. On a day of close calls.
Oh no, like with pneumatic jump, you can actually get to the out of bounds areas in this map. A few of the areas where they spawn, you can jump over. Oh no, when I was doing my water suggestion, Michael, I kind of, that was like elements of it, right? Was like, it feels way too convenient and easy just to like have all of these water containers around. It kind of feels like it would be really much more interesting, right? To have like, we have the water container and it holds a certain amount of water, and like sometimes we have to go fill it up via certain means. And getting shot in the back would be a way, like, it could be a way of punishing, for example, being too aggressive. Or, like, not fighting and running away a little bit, because, like, you know, oh no, your water container gets shot, right? And now you're leaking water. Better get out quickly. It does kind of feel, though, hey Bum Bum, they might want to take a while, off water. Considering it seems like they've been working on water for like the last 6 months, I'm sure they're happy to take a break from it. And come back to it maybe later. We'll see though, maybe they do more with it, but like, I can understand from like an exhaustion standpoint and wanting to do something else. After 6 months of doing water, I was like, maybe we like, you know, get into a good spot for, you know, the back burner for a bit. They definitely do seem constrained in their programmers, bandwidth-wise. I guess we'll do Stairway again. I haven't really... I didn't see where the VIP is. Oh, we don't have a good rig with Scab Girl? Never mind then. Let's not play Scab Girl then. Shaman. I mean, that's just the downside, right, of UE5, is just the gigantic patch sizes. They've definitely been doing, I think, a better job in that regard, but like, yeah, sometimes when you have a decently small patch, it will just be a lot. Let's go over to AK, RPK, RPK. Yeah, like when you have high quality container blocks and then you also have like lock boxes. Lock boxes are great and gotchas are great because they actually absorb damage to your, or they rather ricochet damage off your back. They make you a lot tankier. Probably not that much. Let's bring a tac cam to help find this VIP. With the way these work, oh, let me fix your upper real quick. My spawn at the top. Yeah, the gacha containers are weird, right? They fit way more inside than they could possibly ever fit. All right, let's go to vendors, Grillo. How would you like some destroyed AKs? Not very much, understood. We'll sell you 5 of these. There we go. And we're good. I definitely think more could be done on the Ben. More can be done on the whole like rig standpoint. The progression with rigs right now, I mean, progression in general feels bad, so I wouldn't really say it's the rig's fault all that much. But like, the progression through rigs right now doesn't feel, I would say, great.
Life finds a way, even here.
Okay. Do I see the VIP anywhere? I do not. Typically, a lot of quest units will spawn before you actually enter the zone, and you can usually see them on attack cam before you actually get there. But it does not seem to be the case for this map. So we'll just have to find the VIP elsewhere, I guess. Yes. Okay, I see a hostel there. I'm getting this idea that it's probably just the thing named hostel. Ooh, a jump. Let's get closer to it. What do you look like? I believe it, yeah. That's been a thing with the newer patches recently, is that like a lot of units, if it spawns with a new system on the map or it's a newer unit, it generally speaking will not have the appropriate tag for Zed. This looks like a regular elite soldier. So for example, a lot of the cyborgs that will spawn dynamically from the bombers will have the tag as just hostile now. No, it just seems to be like, it seems that like one of the ways I don't know exactly, but like just things aren't properly aligned up, so it's not getting the appropriate tag. And so it's using the fallback of hostile. That, or they've kind of like, the other thing they could have done too, right, is maybe they changed their system and they're using the new system going forward, but they haven't gone through the effort of retroactively applying that system to everything else. Maybe there's supposed to be some effort in the future of actually like ended up identifying things other than just hostile, perhaps? Who knows? I will say it's been a critique I've definitely seen from newer players is until they know Zed exists, they do have issues identifying the silhouettes of units. And there's always gonna be that issue, right, with like just learning curve, but it's definitely a critique I have seen. I would say I would honestly blame the maps more than anything else, because a lot of the maps kind of turn all the units into just dark blobs. Oh yeah, the tutorial's definitely due for a rework soon, or I guess soonish.
All signs point to this. Now bring it home.
I definitely think we might be due for an expansion too. No, that wasn't the soldier, that was comms. These are the comms guys. So like that right there. The soldier we haven't seen yet. We also don't even have the soldier, but we have the, yeah, the comms. So the comms are here, I guess, and they also spawn like the down here with, or down here on the helipad. Well, blood, yeah. The problem is, right, is just like the way they do lighting right now, it just kind of drowns out everything color-wise. Like, the red is so powerful on this map where it makes it just almost impossible to see any actual color. Everything just has that red hint over it. Oh no, Stairway is a pretty miserable way to like actually like. That's another issue with Stairway, right? Is it doesn't really have like POIs. Like for example, you can get an idea of where to go on Ashen Mesa from like, oh yeah, there's Shantytown, there's a Titan, there's the bunker, right? Those are all locations where you know like quest items might be. But like on a map like this, it's not really locations. I guess you have like the buildings here, but the entire center of the map is just like one giant corridor. Oh sure, Fresgon, like yeah, like no, they definitely chose to like, they wanted this map to appear like hell, and like, if you remove the coloring of this map, this looks like resin. But with the coloring of the map, it looks like blood. And so like when we whitewash it out, right, when we use our flashlight, it washes out the like the lighting and we can see it just looks like resin. But because of like the kind of the very aggressive red coloring on the map, it makes it look more like blood and flesh, which is really cool, right? But like it does create issues where, you know, a lot of the units, especially a distance away, will just turn into like a silhouette and not necessarily like have any color or detail on them. Yeah, exactly right. Like it gives you, it's a really cool aesthetic, but like it does have its consequences or downsides. But as you can see thus far, like we did an earlier run on Stairway already, and like heading down Stairway, heading up Stairway is vastly different because exiting Stairway down here is so much easier and safer. Like if we were trying to leave the map right now up on top of Stairway, we had to deal with that European squad, but here we can just literally leave. Which, I mean, considering the upper parts of Stairway do cost more water, it does give you a decent trade-off. Like, if you want to have a safer extract, pay more water to actually enter the map, which I think is fair.
Onto this feeling.
Potentially, right? It kind of could be just like how... It could be a way that, some of the AIs or some of the printers rebuild buildings. Is kind of those fleshy little veins that eventually maybe like, you know, bleed resin to form solid structures. Yeah, it feels like if you put Doom Guy on that map, it would not feel amiss, right? Stop calling me a rat. It's so rude. I don't know why, but all of the quests for this map from Yoruska, he just calls you a rat the entire time, and it's very hurtful. So very hurtful. This isn't even Lordos. This is like the quest. This is not, it looks like Lordos, right? But it's not exactly Lordos. They're a different name. Looking, all I'll say, during the entire time we talked to Lordos, he has never called me a rat. And so this guy is just being hurtful on purpose. Listen, from the new water video, we're not rats anymore, we are mercenaries. We are the new water thieves. That is fair, right? Well, in the sense of, like, if we stop giving him nicotine, he might get a little more angry with us. All right, let's bring our jump. Cemetery pipes. Ah, yes, the wet bandits. When can we throw bricks? I mean, to be fair, truth, like, throwing bricks and stuff would make sense for stealth, right? I still need to try. I haven't tried heading up there yet. I need to try that eventually. See how high I can climb. Unfortunately, stuff does turn unreal very quickly. Like, you can phase through it. Game, let me up. Alright, is it over there? It is not. Well, the brick in Last of Us, right, is actually like a melee weapon. But I guess like you can throw it too. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can throw in Last of Us for distractions. But I know the bricks are usually a pretty good melee weapon too, for like hitting something in the head with. Of course you break. These are the worst made doors ever. I'm actually not gonna close that because I don't want it to like actually attract their attention, so we're just gonna head down here. And this is another map too, right? Where I just don't. It's technically better than Cemetery, or not, better than Stairway in regards to giving you choice, but like really, it's a fairly linear map, right? There's not really all that much agency you have on it. And because of the dog too, you can only really approach it in one way, which is stealthily. If you have over 2k, you can be much more aggressive on it, but like, you are just inviting the risk of getting murdered by the dog. Oh no, yeah, getting hit by a brick fucking, like, oh, yeah. This shouldn't be surprising, but getting hit by a brick hurts. Like, technically speaking too, right, like, I mean, it's those movies, right? But, I mean, they're great. But, they should be dead, like, 100 times over. Like, the amount of times they should have died. Yeah, but little Papa, why do they break when we open them? Are they haven't been open in 40 years? Real, like, for real, Kevin McAllister is a mass murderer. Or I guess not mass murderer, but future mass murderer. Yeah, the candles are still... No, that's part... Michael, those are the AIs. There's a very, like, there's a robot whose whole goal is, like, coming here and then, like, restocking the candles and then lighting them. And I will say, like, that's actually grounded in lore, right? Like, that is part of the night shift's job, right? Is rebuilding the day's battles, or rebuilding the kind of the areas for fighting, I guess. Basically, Michael. Why do you go to cemetery with the radar when you can just use... I mean... It's not really hard to know where the dog is. Like, naturally, if you're a newer player and you're playing the map conventionally, sure. But because I can get around the dog early by using my jump, I'm just gonna use that instead. And when it comes to staying alive... The jump is a lot better than attack cam in regards to, like, juking the dog. I mean, like, so the reason why we spawn pipes in this map is because we know where the dog treads when we don't aggro him. And so, like, once we get past the dog, we can just continue along our way.
This is a good life.
And the dog will try and follow you, but, like, considering we're not loitering in this map, it's generally fine. There's really no reason to loiter on this map. The biggest thing you could potentially do is just go up top and loot the crates there, and that's really about it. No, I think the dog definitely... Here's the thing, right? If they're gonna have a dog, like an enemy, right, that can one-shot you, they have to give you a lot of countermeasures to get around that, right? Like, just... Alien Isolation, and it also requires the dog to have pretty good AI also, right? I bring up this parallel a lot, but, like, look at Alien Isolation. And it's not necessarily a fair comparison, right? Because Alien Isolation, that was like the only enemy, really. You had the cyborgs, but really, I guess the robots, but, like, that was the only real enemy in the game, was the alien, so all of the effort could be designed in making that alien's AI responsive. So it's not 100% fair. But, like, at least like, even with that though, right, they still gave the player countermeasures to give them mulligans, right? Like, you had the flamethrower that gave you a mulligan. You had ways of distracting the creature, like, you know, sound devices here and there. And I will say, like, the maps aren't really big enough to give you too many countermeasures, right? Like, if you had as many countermeasures as you could have in Alien Isolation on Cemetery, the dog would be a joke because you have so many of them. But, like, the maps and how you would have to approach a level in Alien Isolation were, like, so much more slower and methodical usually. Unless you're a speedrunner that knows all the tricks. Alright, what map? We've been doing Mesa all day, I think. We'll risk Girl too. I don't know. I make a bigger, like, I have a video on the grabber, right? I make like a bunch of ideas on, but I think the biggest thing is just, like, The layout of cemetery does not do it any favors. It's just way too small. Alright, we'll pick up this one. Memento Part 1. That quest is broken. And we can kill the sniper, sure, why not? All of those work. Rig-wise, let's go up to the better one. And like the problem is too, right? Like the problem at its core is they have so many units and they're trying to make more and add more. And like you really just like putting a lot of attention into the grabber when wrong ammo, when you're trying to like have your units have a lot of breadth to them, like a lot of different units, it just seems very hard, right? Like, is the grabber really worth giving that much attention to? Yeah, Nasco, like, one way of alleviating the map, right, or making the map feel a little bit better is just having more variance.
It's always the same.
Yeah, I think the Orgamech has a lot of AoE attacks now. It did before, but I think it has a few more now. And so, like, I don't think that AoE is probably constrained by walls. Wait. Do you guys see this, by the way? I have the drum mag on, but as you look at the bottom of the drum mag, there's also the regular magazine. We have two magazines. Well, that's fucking new. That's a new stealth kill animation. I wonder, did it just replace it, or did it just like they get rid like so? Her old execution would be like her like ripping off the head. So I wonder if that's still there, or just like they replaced it with that one, which was fair. Is it weird that the patch has been out for like almost an entire month now? This is my first time seeing it. Oh, god damn it. You're here. Can one of the tanks please take this out, please? So I actually recall too, so people report that they get killed by a Ruska chopper. I think it's just on the death screen it says that though. I think the chopper's dead actually. I got sniped by a tank. Blessed tank has saved me. No, I recall that now. I believe what happens sometimes is like it's still flagged. We'll check too, to be honest. We'll keep scanning things and checking when we see them. You can get killed by a Eurasian chopper, but when you get to the death screen, it will say your Ruskin chopper. And so it just kind of gives you that idea, right, that they have a bunch of different strings stored in different areas, and that they're not updated properly. So like you have the unit tag, that's what shows up when you hit Z. You have the death tag that, you know, shows what you died from. and those are different. But we'll keep seeing too. Keep looking around. No, so like sort of the way I'm going with it mentally right now, Blood, is just like how we like, you remember how a lot of the drones before, okay, you remember how the like before, right? The Eurasian drones, or the drones for Eureka Eurasia, were always called Eurasian drones, and how with Frozen Swamp and in this patch, they've kind of re-flagged a lot of them, or renamed a lot of them to be Euruscan now. And so I would just say that a lot of the units are kind of fluid in regards to what faction they're considered under, or maybe they're being changed essentially a little bit here and there. So like, naturally, when you see a giant hind, essentially, a super hind, you kind of think Eurusca, and it says Eurasia, and it does have terminology on it for Eurasia too, right? But like, before they added the extra flair to it, like Lithium Angels and so on and so forth, maybe they just popped it in as Euruscan because it's a hind. Essentially, it's old stuff that hasn't been updated or touched yet. Yeah, like that could have been the whole case, right? In the sense that they didn't know what faction it was going to be when they used the model or got the model for the helicopter. But then in time they decided, like, let's have it be a Eurasian chopper and add all this extra decals to it. But like, say for example, in that process, they never updated the actual death tag for it, so it always just stayed Euruscan. Because I do recall now it being pointed out, like I have seen the death tag from Euruscan helicopter, but I don't think it says with the Z tag if it's ever Euruscan, but we'll see. I think the Euruscan drones are actually the Euruscan drones. I think we might see new Eurasian drones in the future. The drones that we have now right now for Eureka Eurasia feel Euruscan to me. It was actually kind of weird before how they were Eurasian. And so I would not be surprised if we saw a different Eurasian drone in the future. Yeah, Eurasian chopper. Do we want to do experiment real quick? We might not get to choose, actually. Hold on. This experiment might be forced upon us. Alright, we're good. Yeah, we might see a variant in the future for Eurusca. And we'll keep looking around too to see if there's a Euruscan one around. It could be the place too, for example, where like there might actually be a Euruscan chopper, but just placeholder right now with a Eurasian one. But yeah, no, that definitely looks more Euruscan to me. It's got like kind of that kind of insecty feel to it. Yeah, if it looks like nature-y at all, it falls under Eurusca. If it looks like high-tech, it's Eurasian. If it looks nature-y, it's Euruscan. If it looks conventional army, it's European. Naturally, that's very generalized, but like that's the core concepts between all factions, right?
Good times.
It's weird, right, Nasco? I'm curious if we're going to ever really see many air units for Europa. I imagine we will, but like, yeah, maybe we probably will. It just like, in all of the leaked media thus far, like all of the images we've been seeing and like all the cinematics, we have yet to see like anything for Europa in regards to aerial units, right? Like in no cinematics and no leaked images of units, right? Have we ever seen a European aerial unit outside of the drone? I mean, your Africa is basically just under Euraska, right? Euraska is Slavic states plus Africa, parts of Africa. The only real continent that does not have anything going for it is Australia. And I guess by extension, Antarctica, considering that's continent also. So like, those are the only two really continents we have nothing about. What map? Scrapyard. Guy, if you hit any of your movement keys when you're looting, it's going to knock you out of that. So if you have a sensitive keyboard or keycaps, you have to be very careful with not having any input keys at all being pressed. Otherwise, it will kick you out. Where's my scar at? Maybe not this scar. I might have some thoughts on Australia. They might be out in 1 or 2 weeks. We'll do 15. Good there, good there. Quest-wise, any scrapyard quests? Nice taken. Yeah, sometimes you might not survive, but you'll definitely level up weapons. These don't drop now, do they? I don't think they do. We'll pick it up anyway, though. No problem. No problemo. Alright, we're good. Well, that's the weird thing too, Michael, right? Is that, like, Mother Courages are actually, like, mostly Eurasian, or sorry, Euruscan. They've just kind of been leased out to Eurasia, it feels like.
Let's roll out.
Like, it's both a mix of, I guess, of Eurasian and Euruscan tech. Like, the human element, right, is definitely Eurasian, but, like, all of, like, the weird tech behind it is definitely Euruscan. For those unaware, too, Eruska is supposed to be, like, the main people behind the night shift, outside of just the AIs. They seem much more enamored with, like, building the world back up. Something like that. Well, yeah, I had the issue too. For example, that's why I say it, because, like, when I was playing the patch early on with my more sensitive keyboard, like it would happen to me a lot too, because like even just a little bit of pressure on my keycaps would do that. Center of the screen, there's actually a laser. You can see the laser, right? It's like, it's not fantastic, but like you can kind of see it. It kind of makes me sad that these aggro notifications are even on No HUD mode. Also, hold on here. Very weird. Are they trapped inside of that poor thing? Oh, well, they're free now. Yeah, I'm guessing we're gonna see eventually, Raymer, like a dedicated European night shift. Hence why we don't have them now, because their units don't exist yet. Wait a second, hold on. I didn't knock again, okay. So one perk of this map, by the way, it's one of the few maps that do not have hunter killers. And so like, you're not, it's a very aggressive map regardless with respawns, but you don't have to be worried about like hunter killers aggroing the entire area around you. Which is quite nice and refreshing. Alright, we need to do our explosive real quick. Unfortunately, we're not on the variant with Brawlers, so we can't check out that quest real quick. You're only gonna see those on the like white variant of the map, and not this kind of like afternoon or evening variant, or any explosives. There's usually some over here always, but I guess that's not the case today. Oh no, they're right here. I'm just blind. All right, that's done. Sir, no. I'll take back this way. That sounds cathartic, Michael. So cathartic. Just watching HKs get murdered over and over again. This map is just like a map of chronically upset people. Especially with unsilenced guns. It's the baby tanks. It's kind of crazy that like these tanks are so small that Bagman can't even fit in them. Like, they're actually like the size of like an SUV or sedan, basically. Ow, ow, god fucking shotguns. Thanks, Wave. No. Stop it. I'm leaving. You guys are being... I insulted their tanks and they got very upset about that. I will go pet the dog. Is that a sniper? Maybe that was your Euroskin sniper. Those are pretty rare. Yeah, SVD was a sniper. Oh, one thing too, by the way, if you hold loot for too long, sometimes it'll just instantly close your thing too. So like, you almost have to like instantly let go of E before you like hold it for too long. They literally are tanks for children. I mean, I am curious, Rimmer, if any factions have like growing vats. I was looking into it. Mechanized infancy. I was looking into it, and like, it generally depends on how populated the world is. But if you have like a couple 100,000 casualties a day across the globe, you need like 20, 25, maybe 30 billion to support that and not lose people, right? Like, you know, if you want the war to be continual and to have like a tithe of like 100k souls a day outside of just natural death causes, you need to be like around 20 billion, which is definitely possible in the world, right? Like, especially considering dystopia and like infinite energy, which seems like we have. Like, it could actually be a lot more than that too. It just depends on the state of being of each country, really, right? How densely packed can you pack people up, basically? No, each character has different animations for dog, yeah. The only one that does not have an animation right now is Gunhead. Because Gunhead doesn't have a soul. It kind of makes me think, like, though... Well, so, like, Phillips, I think that's true. It's basically skirmishes, but, like, it's 100k a day across the entire globe. So it's not just here, for example, Phillips, but, like, when you have conflicts, like when you have like a bunch of skirmishes taking place across the world at the same time, like 100k a day tithe wouldn't seem that outrageous to me. It's a lot, but in the grand scheme of like how many different conflicts there are across the world, it definitely seems quite feasible. Well, that and like duffs too, like mandates, and then also what's it called, vats, right? Like it's like it would probably be Yoruska if it was anyone, right? But like, you know, growing people out of vats. Do I have enough 308 for this? I do, actually. So, data, cargo, no, we're good. But considering too, like, there could be the real issue, or the real thing also, where Yoruska grows some of its units in VATS because, like, it's modifying them, or they are modified creatures. So, like, for example, if the medium mechs are grown and they're not just dreadnoughts, like, maybe they're grown in VATS and kind of born into that.
I hate the surface.
Apparently, according to the lore too, I think these are all offline also. They're just used as, like, bases now. It would be really cool, though, to, like, see them reactivate this. I'm not gonna lie. It'd be, like, a really cool whole, like, thing for the map, right? So, oh, that would be interesting also. It would never probably happen, but, like, having certain outcomes during, like, a grand run kind of change the layout of a map somewhat. Say, for example, if Yoruska's, or say, for example, one of the faction's ideas was restarting this injector well. And so, like, they do that, and for, like, the entirety of the rest of the run, or the rest of, like, the campaign, if you will, this map is now flooded. Yeah, Raymer. Or rather, it's flooded until someone takes control of it again, perhaps. I will say, games that do have, like, rising water are really fucking fun or cool when you don't know that's a thing, right? Like, during the early days of Lethal Company, and not understanding, like, rainy or flooded maps, like, watching them get higher and higher, and, like, just not stopping was so cool. I think, unfortunately, you kind of start... Maybe. You might be able to do it from Shanty Town spawn. But the only problem is the extracts, right? I'm not sure you can get to an extract without touching the ground. Well, not outside some exterior help. You need a third-party tool to get the camera unlocked. The tool you're looking for is Unreal Engine Unlocker. It's behind a paywall, but it's not that much for the feature you get from it. But, like, if you want to have a free cam in the game, that's essentially the only way right now.
Fill those pockets quick.
Humanoid robot. I don't know, like, what faction, like, what aesthetic do you want? Do you have any themes? It can go along so many different ways. You should be Robotnik. That kind of, like, NASCO falls under the umbrella of Yoruska a bit, right? The whole, like, bioengineering. It would be interesting to see some, like, heavily chromed out Eurasian cyborgs. Like, super cyborgs. They'll just call it super cyborgs. I guess, like, in some way, brawlers are kind of that, but, like, it would be cool to see, like, maybe... Or almost like an ape cyborg, right? A cyborg that's, like, almost got, like, the, like, structure of an ape. Delta, I actually haven't played that many Resident Evils. I've watched them played. I've played 4, I've played 5. I didn't play 6, because 6 was awful. I played 7. Other than that, I tried playing the remake of 1. I just couldn't get into it. The camera just like pissed me off too much. 2, like I've kind of been like waiting on. I think I played 3 actually. I didn't play 3 the entire way through, but like I've been kind of. I've been waiting for the right moment to buy and play 2. Leave me alone. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Funnily enough, the enemy nemesis? Funnily enough, I played Resident Evil 4 first on the Wii, and holy shit, does having to aim with a Wii remote changes how a game feels and the difficulty. I think it's interesting. I mean, like, if I'm gonna be blunt, Resident Evil doesn't really do it for me, which is why, like, I don't generally play all of the games. Like, I'm not saying they're bad, just like something about the art and just like, not even the gameplay, just the vibe just doesn't perfectly just. It's not something I go crazy. It's something I enjoy and like, but it's not something I go crazy for. It kind of has, it's weird, right? Because this is kind of a theme in Japanese games in general, and like Korean games, not mainly Japanese games, right? Like, I love Hideo Kojima, but like, they do find, so essentially the easiest way of saying this, right, is they will go for pure cool and not necessarily always ground their games. In any sort of realism, which is perfectly fair, right? They don't need to be realistic, right? But personally, for me, I prefer a much more grounded sort of sci-fi. And like the Japanese like games like Resident Evil and like Hideo games, Kojima games like Metal Gear and so on and so forth, they're really cool, but for the most part, there's always these break sections, right, where it's just like, why the fuck is that a thing? And it's mainly just because rule of cool, right? But like, there's not even an ability. Like, all of the stuff here is very rule of cooly, but for the most part, it's still pretty grounded. It seems to be a fairly Western artist style, like artist style in that regard, in the sense that like, we do kind of have this theme where we try to make things a bit grounded, even the weird stuff. But Japanese games just tend not to give a shit, which is perfectly fair. Also, we need to do this one over here too. Yeah, the only problem with still shoots, right, is like, is it too high tech for this or like, considering the lifespan of the humans, is it worth protecting their lives that much? I mean, a still suit makes a lot of sense. I would say, considering it's much more a logistical thing, or I guess like a cost versus benefit thing. Like, we might see it, for example, with elite soldiers that might need to have that ability to survive longer in the field. But when it comes to your bulk infantry, are you gonna, like, it's for example, are you gonna give your average grunt like a pure thermal loadout? No, because it's like, it's not really that effective and that cost effective, right? And I feel like a still suit would be a pretty heavy investment into all of your soldiers. I can definitely see it for elite soldiers though, like ones that like have longevity, where you want to help survive. Yeah, that's usually how I feel with it too. But like, just something about it's why I generally don't play Japanese MMOs either, or really just Asian MMOs in general too. Part of it's because of the gachas mechanics sometimes, and like the very grindy mechanics like Final Fantasy, but also because too it's like, it's part aesthetics and it's part just because like it's like the lore doesn't do it for me really. Well, it's weird, right? Because it kind of feels like we're near the shore duffs, where they would have desalination en masse. Like, we're in Los Angeles, right? That should be kind of, it feels like Los Angeles. See, isn't that nice? He doesn't call us a rat during that time. Oh boy. Let's do some elephant. We haven't seen a night shift at all today. So sad. Let's go over to Scav Girl. Let's be fast. Let's do a no shooting run. Or rather, we're gonna bring no bullets in. We have our stock bullets and that's it. We'll still bring a few meds for like healing up when we run away, but like let's just try to do pure loot. Well, I view, like... I view some factions leading more into that than the others. Like... Euraska, sure, they seem like they're trying to adapt. Eurasia just seems to be, like... just, you know, it's a bunch of corporations wanting to, like, you know, make money, and so they can script people into the army so they can make money off the cyborg parts they sell to the government. They are the, what's it called? What's the thing called? Oh, fuck, what am I looking for? The corporations of Eurasia are the military-industrial complex. Well, that's like you said, no shooting, but you just shot. No shooting in the sense that we're not going to bring enough bullets to actually shoot. So like we have a little bit of leeway here and there, but we will run out very quickly. Like we're probably down to like 20-ish rounds, 25-ish rounds left on this thing. So a little bit of shooting, not a lot of shooting. Makes a rule, immediately breaks it. I knew I would break it immediately, so that's why I brought no ammo. I will be enforced to use this eventually, or not use this eventually. What's up here? Nothing, right? Yeah. The joys of no HUD. Still having HUD elements on the screen. That damn circle and those damn circles above the enemies. Ruining my ambiance. I want the propane. Give me the propane.
Gotta hold on to this for safekeeping.
Oh yes, that's so much very fun when that happens. So very fun when you soft lock yourself. Exactly, Raymer. You understand. So, is that a door? I guess it's a... I mean, yeah, it looks like a door. Sort of. Not exactly, but like, I can kind of... Well, no, actually, is it a door? Like, if you squint your eyes, you can probably think there's a door here. Considering, I guess, the gap. No, it doesn't... I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just thinking, like, there's supplies behind this grate, and then, like, they put the supplies there when the grate wasn't there, and some bots came by and built the grate. Can you actually hide in? I didn't realize that you can hide in here. Cool. I mean, Raymer, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt in regards to, like, there's supplies back there, but there doesn't seem to be a door there. How did the supplies get there? So I guess they were put there, and then the bots were like, we're gonna build a gate here with no gate. I hope you didn't need those supplies. Rat King? No. Okay, all I'm saying is I should be able to pick this up and fire it once. The recoil should kill me, but like, I should be able to fire it once. Imagine just seeing Bagman, like, just carrying around that giant MPL, and just like holding it with his entire body. Oh, that'd be cute, right? Just like, yeah, blow up Red Baron with it. All right, I wonder if our friend's here today. Mr. Dog. Doesn't seem like it. All right, so I said no shooting, right? Oh, that worked out. I will say, like, yeah, once again, 308's like the best caliber in the game right now for rifles. It's the only thing that one-shot headshots most infantry. Oh, there goes the head. Yep. What? His head's back on. It reattached. Unplayable. I definitely thought we looted more, but considering the rig we have sucks, this makes sense. Can Scav Girl outrun Dog? I don't think you can outrun Dog. Dog will always be faster. Now, you can outrun Cyborgs with Scav Girl, but I don't think Dog. Dog is faster than Cyborgs. And Dog will have a nasty issue too occasionally of like pulling you out from like thin air. Let's see. Yeah, Dog will always be faster. I mean, that makes sense too, right? I have no issues with Dog being faster than us. Sure, we can do that one. Come on, give me the quests. Come on. There we go. Pyro? There we go. All of them now. We're gonna go over to Shaman. We're gonna take the nice rig. Actually, I have better ideas now. Well, sorry, I have ideas. I'm not sure if they're better ideas, but I have ideas now. I'm not sure if they're better, but they're certainly ideas. Where's my SVD at? There we go. Yeah, I definitely believe that one. Alright, 54R. Why can I never see this? I'm so blind. There we go. I didn't realize we can store this much in our container. There we go. Med kits. Wants it to be night shift. I'm summoning it right now. All right. Yeah, Derby turrets on elevation are the best.
Don't lose track out here.
All right, gotta make sure I do this right though,
Easy to get lost.
because I want to get on top of the rock before.
Not too shabby.
There we go. Before I start dropping them. So we'll head in, cause the spawns to happen. We'll head back in on our rock. They're trying to shoot Toothy. It's so very sad. They can't even reach him. But who knows? No, they don't hurt you, I don't believe. What the? I think the guy died already too to those snipers. It's even better when you like know too that they're trying to shoot Toothy, who can't die. So not even really not hitting Toothy, but like they're shooting a unit they can't even do anything to. Remember, these are all 20 millimeters too. Good night, Sweet Prince. No, this is never gonna change Blood Panda. They're always gonna be droopy like this. Are they getting sniped right now? Ow, what the hell is hitting me? Leave my turret to load. These turrets are innocent. PDA. Are they all PDAs? I'm rich. Alright. Now, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure target locked guy is dead. Selters will work, though. No. I can turn off that again, too. Yeah, that'd be like a great scheme, actually, is getting turret parts from the turrets. Alright, need one more assaulter. Can we just do a reset real quick? Probably just do a reset, honestly. Wait, what? Are you made of concrete? Yeah, birds aren't real. Do we not go far enough away to respawn him? Ah, whatever. It's gotten very quiet on this map. Well, actually, hold on, let me do one better. Oh, no, there's respawns, okay. If we see the commander down here, definitely it means respawns happened. I imagine they get one shot by the dog. But I mean, outside of that, like if you have like 2 or 3 turrets, I mean, if it saves your life once, it's already probably paid off. You can force respawns, at least you used to be able to on this map. So like if we, hold on, since you asked. We just didn't go far enough away. But no, you can force, on certain maps, you can force respawns to happen. Essentially, the way you do it is you essentially like leave the map, so you hit the despawn trigger. And so now when we head back, we should hit the spawn trigger again, and things should spawn back to where they were in pristine shape. And that will be kind of toothy in his little area. Though the spawns, I believe, don't change once you load into the map. So like, because the Yoruska guy died to some snipers down in the pit, it'll probably happen again. Interestingly, Toothy's not respawning, actually. Maybe they fixed that. Those respawns happen, though, but Toothy doesn't seem to be respawning like he used to. And I don't see the commander down here either. But no, if we can get Toothy to respawn, he usually would down here in the pit. But maybe that's been fixed, or maybe we just have a weird variant of the map where it's not happening today.
Circling around.
Yeah, well, that's fair, right? There's plenty of instances, right, where you, like... That's always an easy way to sour the mood, right? When you feel like you die and it's not your fault, yeah, very quickly sours the mood. It's why, for example, like, milsims are fun, but I definitely feel like everyone goes through a milsim phase and then realizes that, you know, it was fun for a while dying to RNG because sometimes fate just determines it. But like, it's not fun all the, like, it loses its kind of interestingness after a while, right? Just the RNG factor of dying in games like that sometimes. Like, it keeps you on your toes, but like, once you kind of realize that you are, you know, we're full. Once you're kind of, you realize that you're like, you don't have a lot of agency, and sometimes like you can do everything right, and like no matter what you would have died in that scenario, it doesn't feel great all the time. Or usually like you will eventually grow old of that. Like, I believe I actually can recall the exact moment I stopped playing DayZ. Was like, I just was running like in the forest and some guy murdered me when he was just camping a bush in the middle of the forest. I'm like really? Like, he was literally prone in the middle of like a fucking bush in the forest in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, okay, I guess that's a thing that could happen, but I'm not sure if I really want to play a game like that where I just get punished for just random RNG. Especially considering DayZ is like massive time investment, right? Yeah, like, well, and like, I'm not really like, there's certainly an interesting element of that, but like, it's just not something I'm interested in anymore, really, right? It's like something that was cool for a bit, and it's like, oh, this is neat. This is not something that like was a thing for a while, but like after a while, like you like, it's a game, right? I don't want to like have this issue where it's in a way who's willing to be the bigger rat. I'm not really, like, I don't really want to spend half my fucking day in a bush in DayZ. We did none of requests. See, like, that's the cool part of DayZ, right? Like, the whole, like, RP element, but, like, sometimes you just get the murder hobos who just, like, yeah, just, it's certainly like the game not having them would definitely diminish the game, but like there's a certain element, right, where just losing that progress or just like having, and I wouldn't like, it's not really just a thing of like, I'm not blaming the player for playing like that. I am saying it's an element of just RNG in the game where you can do nothing wrong and die. And that's fun for a bit, but not something I kind of like, I grew out of it, right? Like that's kind of like a part of Milsim and DayZ is just sometimes randomly dying and you did nothing wrong. And it's fun and realistic for a bit, right? But like there's definitely a line between like going back to Law's point, right, where, you know, when you die sometimes it doesn't feel like you did anything wrong. It can pull you out of the game and not feel fun anymore. And some people enjoy that, right? But that's like what milsims I think are for, right? To like Hell Let Loose and DayZ and games like that, right? What map? I still want to get a night shift. See you, Michael. I guess it's I want to get Frozen. Like Frozen Swamp is such a cool night shift. I want to see it. Give Frozen Swamp night shift. Let's actually do this. Let's actually spawn an injection well also, because why not? It's only 4 water today, which is not that much. Yeah, I think we'll keep the SVD, I think, for now. Alright, injection well, and we're good. Yeah, it's got that banger also. I do genuinely really hope we get a day and night cycle. It's the amount of RNG that goes into getting a night shift just feels saddening sometimes. I also feel just like having an in-game, I mean, they probably already do it with your IRL clock in regards to keeping like tabs on how long since you last wiped, for example, and upping difficulty. But like having that be transparent through a day and night cycle where like things get harder as you go and progress would be interesting. Hello. No. Okay, I would try to go around, but these pipes are not real on the sides. I mean, I wouldn't really say... Fucking turrets. I wouldn't say that just because you get access to night shifts on a regular basis, they don't feel special. Well, like Michael, in that regard too, right? It kind of just like, it kind of goes into the whole end game, right? And I will never not say this. I want a game in the extraction shooter genre that doesn't have an ending but concludes. Like you have definitive points where the game kind of wraps up, not wraps up, but like kind of has a climax or culmination, right? Because it's kind of been this giant sin, I would say, of the genre, where it does a terrible job of providing any sense of, not accomplishment, but just finality. At no point playing extraction shooters have I ever felt finished, or felt that it was like a full complete cycle, right? And a lot of that has to do, I think, with the multiplayer aspects and like the live service aspects of like Tarkov and shit like that. But this game doesn't have that, so I think that space is very important to explore, in my opinion. So, Raymer, like, that's my point too, right? What the hell? Fucking grenade launchers everywhere, man. Like, it kind of ties into my whole water system I recommended for them, in the sense of you have day and night cycles, right? And both day and night are optional. You don't have to run a day shift and a night shift, but like if you skip time, there's a cost of that, right? So every day and night cycle, so every day essentially, right? You drain water, right? So say, for example, a day and night passes, and depending on certain circumstances, right, you drain X water from your innards. And so you can skip a day shift, you can skip a night shift, you can skip days if you want to, right? But that has the cost of draining water. Bridge switch is all the way over, hold on. Over there. I need to get out this fucking staircase before I die. No, you just have to, so Lol, you basically just keep yourself topped off, and then, you just kind of go off feel, and sometimes you just randomly die. Just part of No Hud. The real like scary part, Lowell, is when you play no HUD, no medkits, basically, or no healing. Then it becomes a shit show of guessing how much HP you have left. But yeah, the bridge switch is over here. I can multitask. It's like one of my best. Remember, I DM D&D and I've been doing it for like a decade now. So like, this is just status quo for me. Having to do things when responding to people is just status quo. But yeah, the train, the lowering the train tracks is up here. Now, it doesn't really do anything. I guess it gives you a way to move across, but yeah, there's no sound effects yet. It moves pretty slowly, but yeah, it does work. Yeah, that's welcome to the internet. Or rather, welcome to social media. It's hard too, right? Because like I am generally very awful at promoting my own shit because I just swear off of social media. And so like I don't have an Insta, I don't have a Facebook, I don't have a I don't have a Twitter. I guess I did make a Blue Sky, but like I rarely use it because I felt like I needed to have one. But yeah, it's just I just don't engage in social media at all. I'm like a tech hermit. It really is. Well, yeah, like it's the biggest thing to remember about social media, right? Very rarely will people post bad things on social media, and so all you get is a very whitewashed version of what's going on with them, right? And so it gives you this illusion that these people are living perfect lives and yours is all fucked up, and that's really just not the case, right? And so it can make you feel depressed about your life when, all things considered, they're probably experiencing the exact same things you are. They're just not letting you know on social media. You only see the good stuff. There's nothing wrong with you. I can tell you right now, most humans are very fucking similar. People think everyone is a bit unique, right? But generally speaking, we are very much the same also. And people go through a lot of the same experiences and thoughts as they grow up. And naturally, they'll take those different areas in their life, but like, we widely experience a lot of the same things. Especially when you're in the same culture, right? It's different per cultures, right? In areas where you live and grow up, but like, if I talk to an American, right, and their experiences growing up, we will widely experience mostly the same thing. All right, what map now? Are we still just trying to force, I guess, we'll do one more first on this one to see if we can get night shift. Oh yeah, and Raymer, it's always an interesting thing too, right? Like when you start growing up, like people do mature, don't get me wrong, as they get older, but at the same time, you kind of realize that like there's no like magical, like a flipped switch between childhood and adulthood, right? You can bring a pistol in too. And so like you kind of get this perspective from going from a child to an adult where you're like, oh hey, these adults, these grown-ups, they're really not that much different from children. Like sure, they've matured, they learn more, but like for the most part, like there wasn't a flip of a switch that turned them from child to adult. And you can kind of see their personalities maybe change a little bit, but like kind of the base personality they had when they were a child or younger kind of applies to them when they're an adult too. And that people can change, but at the same time too, like they will be predisposed to those things that they're kind of born with. There's both nature and nurture, and both are important. I would say, lol, that's not always the case. There's definitely still plenty of growth past high school, but you will see some people kind of stick to high school, right? If you've ever met nurses, I have great news. If you want to go revisit high school, just go talk to a group of nurses. Nurses literally just run on, like, yeah, high school clique mentality. But I would say, on your note though, Law, I feel like if people were assholes in high school, it's very hard for people to, like, escape that, right? What the hell are you? What the hell's going on? Alright, well, that's just floating, I guess. No, yeah, they're literally high schoolers in adult bodies. And so, like, they're still into all that drama shit. And once again, generalizations, but like, it's kind of, yeah, it just is what it is. Them damn cows. Wait, without a balloon? Or with a balloon? Yeah, balloon cows. My only question for the devs, why do you hate Isaac Newton? What did he ever do to you? Oh, it's a chopper. What are you flagged as? It just said you're Asian. Sir? Come on. I tagged you once. Wait, hold on. Let's just do this. This is gonna hurt, but it'll be worth it. So you can go on this pipe. I wouldn't recommend it really. Like, it's entirely doable, but it's just a bit more hurty trying to get down from it. Well, that's literally all of the business folks are now thinking like, oh man, we can reduce overhead now by just firing half the people and replacing them with AI. And they'll get their upcomings, really. And the weird thing is, actually, if any job should be replaceable by AI, it should really be theirs. The more technical something is, I feel like the less you should rely on AI for it, because the implications if it's wrong are much higher. But like when you're much more creative, or I guess it's why AI is so good at doing AI art, right? Is because you can't really say art is wrong because it's subjective, but you can say facts are wrong because they're not subjective. Hey, Paul. Yeah, I still can't do fingers, yeah. No, AI is going to be a very useful tool in the future when people stop taking the copium and how useful it is. The best way I'll put it is like... Hold on. Actually, I have a pistol for this. Let me get a pistol. Alright. The best way I put this, right, is like, I would view AI as a very, it is both the search engine and the answer, right? So like, it both searches for you for the answer and then provides you the answer. It doesn't mean the answer it provides you is right, but it just does all of it for you. Yeah, it's a very common critique, Michael, is that people want AI to do the menial tasks, not the interesting tasks. Wash the dishes, don't, like, you know, do the art I want to do. Is my magazine? What is with these freaking floating magazines on so many of the guns? Is the chopper still here? Did it die? I don't hear it. Well, yeah, but naturally the people who are in charge are going to vote themselves out, right? It's just like Congress, and are giving themselves their own increases in their they're in control of their own paychecks, so they just naturally, like, why would they ever vote no to giving them less money? Like, naturally the bosses of companies who are in charge of how AI get implemented are never going to vote themselves out. Yeah, I believe I saw duration too, but it was just quick. No one's gonna ever vote against their own self-interest, right? I mean, in a way it kind of is, right? There's plenty of AI units, I imagine. I kind of think with the bigger war machines for your age, right, it's mainly going to be AI driven and not necessarily like pilot controlled. Like, I imagine Big Green's going to be like a programmed like big mech, right? Not like no pilot at all.
Another day.
Oh, IRL. I mean, I'm sure we're getting there. Unfortunately, just like the problem is when we start looking at realistic things, right? It gets very just kind of crazy, like thinking of it this way, right? So lasers can be done IRL, right? Like laser weapons. But like the amount of power you would need, like say for example, if power was not a limitation, right? Like, as long as you had a clear line of sight for the most part, like a laser with infinite power, relatively infinite power, could just delete things in the span of literally a blink. You could just kill so many different things with a giant powered laser, right? it's not like a laser of like sci-fi where like it shoots projectile or just has a short range. It is literally just an insta death ray. And when we start getting to the point where we have that kind of technology or that kind of like that power behind, you know, AI or drones, it's just like, yeah, it can kill a bunch of people very quickly. Yeah, the only thing, Michael, I can see is like if there's a new Geneva Convention in regards to like artificial intelligence. I am the only problem, right, is I don't feel like any like. Sure, the EU will sign on, most of the world will sign on, but like there's almost no chance that like North Korea, America, Iran, like Russia ever sign on to that, right? Like most of the world will be like, yeah, this is fucked up, let's not do this. And then America, like all the superpowers will be like, no, we're good, thanks. We're quite happy with having artificial robots kill things for us. Gabe? Here we go. Okay. Just don't be scrolled all the way down. Got it. Meds. Let's we're gonna jump into. I mean, Blood, if your thought is that two countries are willing to fight a full proxy war with their robots and not rely upon people, I feel like that's a bit naive. Because yeah, as Raymer says, life is cheap. Like, it's precious, but remember, there's what, 8 billion of us right now? And when it comes to like a $100,000 robot or some soldier with a $500 AK, and even that's stretching it, right? Like, it depends upon the country, right? For countries that have, like, for example, the United States, right? On a whole, the United States, the people of the United States, do not have a lot of leeway for casualties. In the sense of, if people start dying, American troops start dying, we care a lot about a little of them. In contrast to Russia, right, where they can lose hundreds of thousands and not blink an eye. Like, if we had the amount of casualties, like even a fract, like over our course of like how many years in like Afghanistan, we had only a couple thousand casualties after a certain point, like, and it's, even that was still noticeable, right? People, like, it was always on the news that we lost like 10, 20 soldiers in Afghanistan a day, right? And if that. America cares a lot about losing a life, and so like for a country like that, we wouldn't blink an eye about spending 100K on a robot to replace a soldier. But another country might see that 100K and be like, hey, I can go arm 1,000 soldiers fully kitted out for 100K. And granted, their kits might just be rifles, but still. And like the other thing is too, right, is I don't think you'll ever see the capitulation of a country before they start losing actual people. Like, you might have proxy wars through robots, but you won't ever get a country, I guess, to fall to ruin or, you know, surrender without them losing some of their actual manpower. Yeah, I'm not saying like you wouldn't see instances of humans, like soldiers, being replaced by robots. It's more in the sense of there won't ever be a conflict determined from robot versus robot. Eventually one side will get to robot versus people. Yeah, robots are the future, but there's always gonna be people mixed in, especially considering too that like as Earth gets more and more populated, right? Human life does diminish in value a bit. Well, Michael, it depends on the country too, right? I can't remember the exact figures, but training a soldier from boot camp all the way to like fully trained for America is way more than that. I want to say it's in $100,000 range, if not more than that, but like training troops in America they're not cheap. And that's because we do place a high emphasis on keeping soldiers alive, right? Like we are very, from the Vietnam War, like the government, you know, and the DoD has understood that like you have to keep soldiers alive. It's like it is just the emphasis of Western values for us. If you do not keep soldiers alive, if you have high death counts, you know, there will be riots and protests in the street. Remember, the Vietnam War, for how long and how apparently deadly it was, I'm not saying it wasn't deadly, but like, the entire deaths was 50K for America. Which in the grand schemes of things is not a lot, but it was enough to cause mass amounts of turmoil in the United States. I feel like between their kit, Michael, I don't know off the top of my head, but I genuinely feel it's... So this is not about their upkeep, this is about their cost to train them. And to outfit them. So I don't know the exact, like, cost, but, like, I want to say I heard a figure a while ago, like, maybe a couple years ago, that was 100K per soldier. Well, I can definitely see blood, for instance, of it, like, providing, like we kind of see with Europa, right? It provides, like, benefits and redundancy, right? Like, it's a force multiplier, but it doesn't, like, it's a force multiplier, but you still have to have that force to begin with. So, Michael, I'm more talking about the initial training and upkeep of taking a soldier from, like, pre-boot camp through boot camp and to being an actual soldier, right? So, like, what you're referring to is more of the upkeep cost. I'm referring to the upfront cost. And don't get me wrong, the upkeep cost isn't, like, important too, right? But there's also the initial training fee. Like, before you can actually make them soldiers and have them be useful for the government, like, there is that initial phase, right, of however many months they're in boot camp and then learning their specialties, right, and so on and so forth. And then their initial kit too, right? The actual, like, their equipment costs on top of that. Yeah, and even if you get to the point, Raymer, where you have fights where it's not people behind the gun, even if it's like, if it's programmers behind the gun, it's then more of a question of, like, what happens when a side runs out of the production of those robots, right? Yeah, Michael, that's exactly, like, yeah, 50 to 150K is like where my ballpark idea was too, right? In regards to getting a soldier from being green up to trained and kitted out. And the problem is too, I think with Russia also, Michael, is that you don't generally see, so for example, right, you have the draft kind of army of Russia, which can be people from Moscow and St. Petersburg, but then you have the conscript army of Moscow, right? And those two teams kind of receive different training and loadouts. Because in a way, Russia is similar to that of the US when it comes to two kind of core areas, right? Russia cares about Moscow and St. Petersburg, and if the people aren't from there, they generally don't care about them on a grand scale. But when people from Moscow and St. Petersburg start dying, then the people of those cities start caring a lot. And until those people start feeling scared themselves, like until the pressure is put upon Moscow and St. Petersburg, the war is going to keep going on, right? Because ultimately they're kind of not, I don't want to say apathetic, but like on a whole, they're not going to cause a regime change until they feel the pressure themselves. Raymer, a few of the pundits I watch or like kind of look to, at least a few of them think that like the drone war is happening in Ukraine, and then like it's not going to happen much elsewhere.
Always a pleasure, folks.
Well, Russia is basically just this giant country to protect Moscow. You know that whole thing called the Iron Curtain? That was just to protect Moscow. Yeah, it depends, right? Defeat and protect Moscow. Everything about Russia is to service Moscow. Kel, on that note though, like, yeah, but also like there's it's an arms race, right, in that regard. And the only thing, right, is you do have to have instances, right, where there's a signal heading to drones, and that signal can be disrupted. And if someone wants to jam all of the drones in an area, they can. It just works both ways. And naturally, that sensor is going to be putting out a lot of information, right? So that sensor being targeted itself, but like, it's just, yeah. I definitely, we'll see what happens, but I'm curious if what the pundits are saying in regards to like, this is the big drone war, and we'll still see drones in the future, but not to the extent we see in Ukraine. All right. I mean, if your idea of advanced drones, right, is that they have a pre-programmed mission and they just do that mission regardless of like, and essentially like they're just, once you send them off, they're dumb. But on that note, right, like that's getting to this really fast, like this really gray area in the future, right, where you have something that's essentially pre-programmed to do harm, or even worse yet, if you have AI behind it, right, you have AI deciding when to explode something that can kill people, and that's gonna have ethical considerations, right? Is like how, what the hell, what is going on with my inventory? I didn't want to clock him in. What the hell? There's something buggy going on. Like, I think we're very far away. I mean, we'll see though, of like actual intelligent munitions that are pre-programmed with a certain target in mind, and then like it's entirely on them to blow up. Oh, 100%, Michael. Drones in a way are a way for Ukraine to make up for the manpower shortages they have, right? or I don't even want to say it's shortage, but like the contrasting amounts of manpower that Russia and Ukraine have, right? It's a way for them to make up for that. I think what Quell is saying is that like you don't even have a signal anymore. It's literally once you launch it, it's pre-programmed a certain route and do to certain things, and it has an AI to tell it when to blow up. And the problem with that though, right, is like I think we're very far away from ever having an instance where a drone can explode without pull up a trigger, like without human intervention, right? Yeah, and it's just like that's a very futuristic scenario. Like, when we get to the point when drones can explode of their own volition, and they're funded from a state government, that will be definitely a milestone. It's one thing for like, you know, own actors to do it, people acting within their own accord. But like when governments, especially Western governments, right, start doing that, that's definitely crossed a barrier in my imagination. I'm not like it raises the question of like almost like war crimes, right? And if people are willing to sign on to say like you shouldn't be able to do this. And naturally, people are probably gonna ignore that anyway, but like, it is what it is. But it definitely, I think it's... If we start seeing bombs be it's just gonna take one bad thing to happen, right? If we ever see a terrorist cell, for example, do it, if they ever do like a pre-programmed or AI-driven bomb, like, it's probably gonna cause some discussions to pop up. And some actual treaties. Yeah, essentially, it's a century chart problem, right? Like where, you know, you can easily make a turret go shoot anything that moves in front of it, right? But it's indiscriminate. And a lot of it falls on ethics too, right? Which, I mean, that'll be kind of the crux of the issue in the future is like, you know, do any countries really feel ethically constrained to not do something that's beneficial for them? Just because it's right or wrong. And in a way too, right? The reason why you saw things like gas get banned, right, is both sides during World War I got to experience the horror of gas strikes. And unfortunately, right, we are kind of you know, a species that doesn't really... We are a species that sometimes can do it, but sometimes we have a lot of trouble empathizing or sympathizing until we experience it ourselves, unfortunately. And so, unfortunately, it might have to be that kind of scenario, right, where, you know... What I will simply say here, right, there has been a lot of instances in the last 10 to 20 years of people kind of not, I wouldn't say ignoring history, but because it hasn't happened to them, they don't think it's as important or impactful as, or as significant as it is, right? They've kind of been blinded by how easy they have it. And so until they experience it themselves, they won't actually respect it. And that applies to a lot of different things. I won't be very specific on that. People have a lot of issues with empathy and history. But no, yeah, going back to the whole, like, you know, war crimes thing. Until, like, it will probably take a scenario where both sides feel the downsides to bring them to the treaty table, right? You know, saying, you know, yeah, neither side wants to be nerve gassed, so let's not use nerve gas. neither side wants to have a machine that can, you know, target civilians. So let's ban that. With, like, you know, drones, for example, going haywire. So who knows too, right? I mean, like, I would say drones are probably less discriminate than, or indiscriminate than gas strikes, right? Well, what map are we doing now? I don't think I have. If I've watched it, I don't recall the name of it. Oh, we can do a scrap. I want to get Nighttime Frozen Swamp so bad. Well, yeah, that's the whole point, right, Quell, is it had to be used in mass first for both sides to experience the full weight of having it be okay. And then, like, they were like, hey, yeah, let's not have that be a thing anymore. It's literally forced empathy. And it could be a thing too right now also, right? For one big aspect we see right now too, drones are widely okay and ownable by the populace. You should enjoy that while you have it. I would be surprised if that remains the case always. It is one terrorist attack away from being taken away. Like, the fact that drones are pretty widely unregulated, and that, like, you can fly them. Naturally, there's places where you're not supposed to fly them, but, like, and there's, you know, there's jammers to stop you from flying them, but, like, it's only really gonna take a few conflicts or a few wars or a few terrorist attacks to see drones heavily get regulated. Like, there's a definite future I can see in the future where it's just like, it's going to be regulated like firearms, or regulated in the sense of this is military only. Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing, right, is that right now, a lot of the commercially available, at least to my knowledge, drones are fairly easily jammable, so they're not hardened, and that they can be, I think, traced back to where they're coming from. So, like, there's definitely been cases, and I think, where drones have loitered too close to the airports, and the people who do that get their fucking ass lit up, right? I mean, Michael, no, but, like, that's different, because one of those requires you to go stab a person, the other requires you to go fly to an airport into a jet turbine. They're not equivalent scenarios. The amount of harm a drone could do is vastly more than the harm of a person with a pencil could do. And when they can be an attack vector for, you know, terrorist attacks, I could easily see them being regulated very heavily into the future. The fact that we have this kind of period right now where they're not is surprising. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're that equivalent, though, Blood Panda. In that case, it would be like a chair versus a gun. Like a drone has way more ability to be harmful than a pencil. Well, Michael, it depends, right? Like, it's right now they're not regulated heavily because they're not being abused. But if we start seeing instances, right, Michael, of the future where you have these military automated AI drones that drop bombs on people from pre-programming, but then you see like an attack vector from terrorists do the same thing, and they can't be jammed easily, you might start seeing the very restricted flow of drones. I would say though, Quell, you like, yes and no. You have, I mean, between trucks and drones, yeah, trucks have a much more capability of harm. Drones have their evasive nature though in some regard, and their ability to go really anywhere, right? Trucks are kind of constrained by roadways and they can be choke pointed. You can't really choke point the air. Like, you can have ingress and egress points from, like, military bases, right? Like, entryways, but you can't really have, and checkpoints for military bases, right, to stop trucks from heading in. But, like, when it comes to drones, right, you need an entirely different system to intercept them that has to watch over all of the air. I mean, that's very par for the course though, right, Michael? At least in the States, plenty of things are banned. Granted, there's still plenty of commercially available stuff that you can make into stuff like that. It just, if they have a use case outside of that. Like, there's always a thing, right, where you can go to, like, Home Depot and then make meth. Or some, I guess, like, some off-brand meth or whatever. I am not familiar, but, like, there is the whole thing, right, where you can buy plenty of stuff from a drugstore or from, like, a Home Depot sort of store and make very dangerous things. The good old Anarchy Cookbook. No FPS drops. Oh, for sure, Jim Bob, right? Is that a hand? Oh, it's a statue. Where did you come from? Oh, I guess it's from up here. Oh, I guess there was like maybe a statue here that got knocked down. It like was like right here and got knocked over. Okay. Very quiet today on Stairway. So very quiet. Man, the FPS drops on this map are rough sometimes. It seems to mainly happen at the entrance of this area. Well, it's stopping right now deeper in, but... I kind of really want to measure the velocity of some of these guns. A lot of these guns feel like very stylistically way too low velocity-wise. Like, I shouldn't really, I feel, have to lead a target all that much when I'm like point blank in front of them. Leave me alone. Soldiers? Where the hell the fuck did you come from? I don't think you're supposed to dodge bullets, Law. I don't think that's the point of bullets to be dodgeable. And it is chugging right now in this area. My god. I mean, yeah, but like, there's the issue, right, Michael, of yes but no. In regards to like overdoing it, if you overdo it so much where it's very noticeable, I feel like it kind of takes you out a bit. If your goal is immersion, things to try to immerse you, and having artificially slow to such an extent where it feels wrong guns velocity, it feels wrong. It goes back to my whole point, right, where like in a way it was a mistake to ground your guns in realism by having them be off real variants, because I see these rifles and I know the velocities their projectiles go at, and it feels like we're nothing close to that. Like we're off by a factor of like 3 or 4. Especially with things like the 36M. Yeah, maybe it's only 2, but like it is noticeable enough where it's like it doesn't feel exactly right. It's kind of the whole thing with the mech fights also. I think it's time for the P90. It just feels a little bit. I wouldn't even say the rifles feel all that awful, but like it's definitely noticeable, because you shouldn't be having to lead that much with a rifle at that close range. That's the biggest thing, right? Is like, why am I having to like lead a target like if they're at 100 or 200 meters when they're literally like 30 feet in front of me? Or like probably like 20, 30 meters, but still. The lead's crazy. Let's do a scrapyard. But yeah, the mech fights too. With like the mech fights have the medium mechs for Europa have like the weirdest projectile speed. Yeah, not sure if I'm a fan of that either, Law. Like every bullet being a tracer. Like I wouldn't mind the tracers as much if they were just much more minimalistic, but so many of the tracers just feel a bit overbearing. All right. It's also weird how they did the camera too.
So like when you ADS, it seems like they put the camera like right behind the optic. And like it's attached to like, so like if I, hold on. I did it before, but like you kind of notice it when we just did it, right? Where it kind of moves you around with the camera if you're ADSing while you're reloading. Yeah, I mean, like the tracers are cool, but I think making them a bit more like grounded wouldn't ruin the ambiance. Like, I think at its core, having the tracers is fine, but having them not be as obnoxious is also, like, probably perfectly fine, too. Oh, fuck, that's not good. I did not realize we hit the spawn for the actual map. Man, the amount of screen shaking on P92 is actually kind of crazy. Yeah, we'll be fine, I think. We're in good cover. We're in drones. And to be fair, we're using a P90, which is not very good at killing things. I actually go as far as say it's actually just bad at killing things too. I mean, it's basically 9mm. It's the same damage as 9mm. You just can't silence it. About 600 rounds. So we're probably like about 200 left, I think. About 100 actually. Gabe. What? Why? Why are these magazines always floating around? What is this bug? Why do you need the magazine somewhere? I want you to die. Here we go. Come on, meds. I have one med kit left. Okay, that's good to know. So I don't have a lot of fighting power left, really. Yeah, smaller, faster. Supposed to be better at piercing armor. And it is if you have the right round for it. The way I kind of view it, right, is I kind of feel like 9mm should have higher base damage than 5.7, but 5.7 should be able to pierce through armor. But because there's no armor in the game currently, they function exactly the same.
Just what I needed in my life. A reason.
Essentially, the way I view it is like cyborgs should be whatever armor cyborgs have, the P90 should be able to go through. Because I still do definitely think that Eurasia, like, this is their choice because they have highly urban environments, and sometimes you gotta put a cyborg down. I'm not sure if, like, we'll ever have that granularity of armor. It's more about the enemies having the level of armor, right? Like, I'm not sure if we're gonna ever have plate carriers. I don't think we should, honestly. But in regards to... floating magazine. In regards to enemies having, armor, I can see that definitely being the case. Such a weird bug. Yeah, the only problem though is, Michael, is overpen. Does it actually exert all the energy on target? It's also important, too, to keep in mind also what round you're looking at. Because naturally there's hotter and weaker rounds of each round. If you're talking about, like, military loads, you're talking about, you know, civilian loads, you're talking about custom loads, so on and so forth, and then the round type. There's a lot of different factors. Because you can have some pretty hot 9mm rounds. It just depends on if you want to actually run that in your gun, if your gun can even run those hot rounds. Let's give Frozen Swamp one last chance to actually give us what we want. That being... the beautiful night shift. Yeah, I don't think us scavs should, like, the only, if I was gonna give any of the scavs armor, it would only be Gunhead. And, like, innate armor, right, for his, like, metal outfit. Good there. Was it like fan art critical or like actual art they provided? I'm pretty sure they've been very, what's it called, radio silent since the patch drop, basically. I mean, bullet resistance coat, sure. I mean, but like, you could assume everyone's wearing some degree of, like, I guess Kevlar a little bit, perhaps, but... I will say one thing, too. There's been a decent amount of data mining recently, like ripping off models and other things and assets from the game. Always take those with a grain of salt. They could be, like, preliminary, but they also could just be old vestiges of, like, prior ideas or development, right? Like, definitely have fun going through the assets, but, like, do not think just because they're in the assets does mean that they'll ever be in the game. I definitely think your open infantry have armor, right? Like, they're very clearly upper armored. But in regards to, like, Scav Girl, Old Man, I mean, we have, you know, yeah, our bullet resistant coat as Masked Man, right? But quite a few of the Scavs don't seem to be wearing much at all. Yeah, I also think like on that note, Hyper, we have like the Orgamech too, right? Which Orgamech's supposed to have like 20 mil cannons that they don't have yet. My beautiful G36. I am Doom Guy. I mean, are we gonna have actual variants of Orgamechs though, in regards to melee Orgamech and then 20 mil Orgamech? Or is this gonna be 20 mil Orgamechs? Up we go. Oh yeah, Rufus rounds. I'm not. That's a thing too, right, Michael? I'm not. On one hand, it would be really cool to have a bunch of different types of rounds, but at the same time, is it really worth all of the effort at economy balancing and all of that to have like 40 guns with like 100 different rounds between all of them? Because if we start looking at like different types of ammunition for like each caliber, it gets so bloated so very quickly. Yeah, I kind of feel like the cryo ammo was just like a prototyping test for them for different ammo types. Like you definitely know cryo is very underbaked, but it was like just something they wanted to test out as a concept, and it's been mothballed for a while now.
Hey, I live for this. Wait, give me time.
No, that's why the yeah, that's why the German military went over to the HK. G36 has issues with its light barrel. It can't keep a zero. System error. Oh, we're talking about, we're not talking about in-game qual though, we're talking about in military purposes though, like, right, it's why the, so the G36 was the standard military rifle of the German military for a while, and then they went over to the HK because the G36 has issues. That being, it's a fairly light rifle, and its barrel is actually pretty light, and the problem is as you would shoot rounds out of it, the barrel would basically not, in a way, warp, and it would just not keep a zero, and it would not be accurate after a few rounds. It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't really a scandal, just more of a design flaw. Like, scandal kind of like is malicious. It's not really just. If anything should be a, if anything was a scandal, it was the L96. Or was it L96? What was it called? The British military rifle, right? The L86. The L86, I think. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. The fucking British bullpup that was just a fucking atrocity. If any gun's gonna be a scandal, it's gonna be that one.
Not the right time to be on the surface.
Yeah, no, networking from our last stream a week and a half ago for like playing not as the host, networking still requires a lot of work. It's definitely better. I wasn't getting drops left and right, but like there was plenty of issues outside of that. But no, like once again, oh god, I'm gonna die here. Fucking sniper. Hold on, I'm reloading. All right, oh my god, that fucking snipers are so scary. Like, no, I'm very happy the devs kept themselves off of doing competitive multiplayer, right? As a no PvP, because yeah, like they're very clearly showing that, like, you know, at least for this game, the networking probably won't ever get there. which is fair, right? It's like, it's hard to do. Good networking is complicated and requires requires its own dedicated people just for that purpose.
Keep together.
I both like sync kills, but it's very, you have to be careful with sync kills, right? Because sync kills, remember Doom 2016 and Doom Immortal were good, but like Doom Immortal definitely had the issues, right? Where like the game was just mostly all of the glory kills, right? Like it became this very tedious loop of having to do these sync kills over and over and over again. Especially in peer-to-peer, Michael, for sure. Peer-to-peer is just a nightmare in that regard. No containers? Alright, I didn't want containers anyway. We'll lower the bridge for fun. It's so slow where you just can't notice it actually going down. I mean, you can kind of see it after a while, but like it takes you a second to actually watch it to see if it's going down or not. Yep. I mean, it makes sense how slow it's going considering how big it is, but like, yeah, it's just, with no sound, it's just kind of funny. Hey Vinny, how's it going? Vinny, appreciate it. Every time, Vinny, man. So kind. All right, time to leave.
Taking fire.
I really do hope this drone tree eventually allows them, like, so right now they are just props on the drone tree. They're part of the map itself. It would be so cool if they could actually detach in the future. So cool. I mean, on that note, Michael, I really do hope they explore like off-map units. I think that's a way they can like make really big units in the game without having to worry about them like being on the map. Is just have them be off-map. Fights off in the background. And naturally, because they can be lower LOD, like level of detail, off in the distance, and still look cool. They're not too performative. Or rather, they are performative. Alright, that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back on Wednesday. New video in the works. This is a big project for me, so we'll see how it turns out. But it might be 1 or 2 weeks away, but we'll see then. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys Wednesday, and take it easy. Bye all.